Come and See, your podcast for finding truth in a world of chaos. Brought to you by All for Jesus Living Waters Ministry. With host and founder Richard Case and co-host and retreat leader Kathy Ricconi. Join us every weekday at this time to discuss news, spend time in the Word, and receive answers to your personal questions about living life in God's truth. And now your host, Richard Case.
Well, good morning, Kathy. we made it. We've been having a little technical difficulty, but we now it's in January. We're in November, the end of November after Thanksgiving, and wish you well, everybody. Hope you had a great holiday. We're
Absolutely
excited to keep our series going. I know, we taped these a little bit ahead of time. So, Kathy, you actually were in Florida. How did that go?
Oh, it was great. Yeah, this last weekend we went down, like I said, a couple weekends before this is actually airing, but went down to Florida to visit two of my sisters, and just had a great time. We're able to go to Disney and see it decorated for Christmas, which is always a joy. So just had a great time with that. And, my little nephew Noah summed up one thing though. We were all sitting outside by the pool at one point, and he just looks up with big eyes and he's like, God just knows how much we need to see people.
Amen to that.
And I think he has really been missing, having family get together. So it was sweet. We got to see him running a track meet, and he's just a sweet little boy with a huge heart for Jesus already at 10 years old. So
that's great.
It was a good weekend. We enjoyed it.
That's great. Yeah.
How about you guys? You had your grandson back in town. Is that right?
Aiden was back in town. He had a birthday party attending with his friends. So he was back in town. We had a good time with him, and just a nice, relaxing, beautiful weekend. So we were excited. We've done 5 back-to-back retreats in a row. So it was the first weekend we didn't have a retreat. So that was
wow.
That was a nice break for us with our family.
I hope you ordered out for Linda so she didn't have to cook anything.
She didn't have to. We took enjoyed it to the full. And as we're talking about our topic right now, which is overcoming worry, fear, and anxiety, I was having interesting enough a discussion about that this weekend with a couple, and they were kind of phrased it up interesting in a different way. Was, we talked about what causes anxiety, and they were saying that one of the big causes of anxiety is that there's a loss of control.
Absolutely.
That I'm trying to control things and want things in order, and I can't pull it together, and so I'm anxious, just generally anxious. That is this ever going to get resolved, because I've kind of lost the ability to develop an outcome, which is what we tend to focus on. Our podcast is called Come and See, Finding Truth in a World of Chaos, and the reason is that the world is getting more chaotic, which by definition is less ability of us to manage and control anything because of policies, governmental policies, just simple things like supply chain. My wife and I were working on trying to get a few Christmas presents for relatives, and they were advertising, this one site was advertising, some clothes, and you could sort it, by these clothes were available. And then when you went to order it, it said
I can guess where this is coming.
Not available.
Right.
And
or available January 15th.
Yeah.
Or
Okay, well that just that sequence, because you're working and you're trying to get there, and then all of a sudden you go through all of that process, and then the end line is, oh, by the way, it's not available, which means I can't order it, and now that causes stress or anxiety.
Right.
Of, okay, now what are we going to do? And not only that, just the frustration
Right.
of,
Well, and I like the way you describe it, or you have described it before, as like this low level infection that
right,
just stays, when so many things are going on in the world,
right,
then we keep this threshold of anxiety or stress just under the surface so often.
right.
And it doesn't take much to send it off.
Yeah, yeah, and even in business and family situations, is that um, it's just what I call tough sledding.
Mhm.
There's nothing. My experience lately is there's not a whole lot that's really easy.
Mhm.
Everything is a struggle, and there's opposition, and there's self-centeredness, and there's things that people don't honor, and uh, it's just a little bit struggle, frustrating. So that as we have discussed, it's not focusing on outcome, but trusting in God to bring outcome,
Mhm.
and that He can deliver. Which we've started to understand is that we first of all believe that He can and will resolve this issue that I've got,
Right.
no matter what. And the key is let Him resolve it, not us.
Mhm.
So that, for example, we would say, well, I don't like it that my community or my town isn't allowing me to go to a restaurant unless I'm vaccinated, and for some reason I don't want to be vaccinated. So now I'd like God. Could you just change that?
Mhm.
And see, God says, well, you need to approach it the other direction. Is given that that's what's happening, let
Mhm.
me resolve it for you to bring you back to freedom and joy. And that's a whole different perspective of I would
Mhm.
like it controlled in the way I want it controlled. Is that no, trust God is going to bring restoration, and that's what we're trying to help everybody understand, is that God will absolutely 100% restore you and resolve it. Absolutely. Now might be different in terms of how that looks and what that means. And,
Right.
and I think I use the example of let's say you have a dishwasher in your kitchen and it breaks.
Mhm.
And so, okay, well, you go to call a service company to come and fix it. Um, it takes 3 weeks for them to come. They come, and then they said, "Oh, you got it. You need a part." And they say, "Guess what? That part isn't available anymore.
Mhm.
We can't get it right now. The supply chain, it's being manufactured somewhere in China probably, but we can't get it, so we can't fix it. Um, and well, let's buy a new one. Well, there's no new ones available.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
well, okay, it's frustrating. Well,
Mhm.
and you would go to God and say, "Okay, God, how would you resolve this?" He would say, "Well, let me organize it in a different way for you. Is why don't you go back to having your family do dishes together?
Mhm.
And yeah, you got to hand wash them, but you can spend that time together, talking, conversing, and sharing. And let me resolve it in a different way. That okay, yeah, it's not going to get fixed, and it's a little bit inconvenient, but God says, let me provide a new, beautiful way to enjoy this, and he
Mhm.
can. So his resolution might be different than mine.
Right.
It's like,
But ultimately, it is still best. And I think about that, so, that example that you just gave and that resolution, he knows what is actually needed and what is refreshing for your family and that sort of thing. Is it better to potentially, even in this season, have that extra family time?
right,
And so he even sees that sort of thing. And so trusting that whatever he leads truly is the best,
right,
even if it runs in opposition to what we normally expect or would desire,
right.
you know.
That's right. And then we talked about we stand on the covenant. He is going to bless us to make us a blessing. That He's going to give us wisdom and instruction, and that He's got everything lined up for us to receive the abundant life. And so we just
Mhm.
we gotta stand with that and say, okay, um, I'm going to go in that direction. And then we talked about the last couple of times about if we say, okay, I'm willing to do that, then we got to learn to trust Him.
Mhm.
Which He says, I'll prove it to you. You can trust me. I am going to deliver, and learn to trust me, because I have the answer, and it's going to be bigger and grander and different than you think, but I do have the
Mhm.
answer, and I will resolve it. So you got to begin to trust. And then we said, okay, if we're going to trust, then we have to learn to hold fast to him.
Right.
He uses this beautiful term in the scriptures of holding fast. And again, the analogy, you and I were just talking about this, is think of your little toddler and you're walking and they grab hold of your leg and kind of stand on your shoe. And now you're walking around, they're clinging to you, and guess what? They're walking with you. Now they're not,
Right.
They're clinging, they're holding on, and that's
They're with every step you take.
every
I
step,
love
and
that.
that's
such
the,
a beautiful illustration.
that's the way that God has phrased it is, if you're going to learn to trust me, well, then start with holding fast to me, and let me show you can trust me by holding on. Don't walk away. Stay with me. Hold on. Grab hold. And he says, understand that. So let's go to. We talked about some verses, beautiful verses out of Deuteronomy 30 of holding on. I set before you life and death. Choose life. Hold on to me. Let's go to 1 Thessalonians 5, 14 to 22. 1 Thessalonians 5, 13 to 22.
And we urge you, brothers, admonish the idle, encourage the faint-hearted, help the weak, be patient with them all. See that no one repays anyone evil for evil, but always seek to do good to one another and to everyone. Rejoice always, pray without ceasing, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you. Do not quench the spirit, do not despise prophecies, but test everything. Hold fast what is good, abstain from every form of evil.
Yep. So some really wonderful encouragement is pursue what is good. All right. So if you're pursuing what is good, what are you pursuing?
Jesus.
Yeah. He's good. And he's going to deliver, remember, the abundant life. I'm going to deliver the covenant. I'm going to bless you to make you a blessing. So pursue that. And basically, he says, give all your attention to pursuing what I'm going to do for you by pursuing me. That's why it means hold fast, cling on to it. And he says, abstain from every form of evil. And the word there isn't black, dark, awful. It's things that annoy, frustrate, and irritate you, which is why you are in fear, worry, and anxiety. Because this thing is a problem. I got a real problem. I got something that is against me, thing that isn't working, and I don't yet have a resolution to it. And he said, well, abstain from that. And what it means by is don't keep stuck staying there and say, well, I guess I'm going to have to try to figure this out, and probably isn't going to work out great. And you have this, what we call it, again, as you refer to, this low level infection, and I can't seem to get there, and I'm in worry, fear, and anxiety. He says, well, I need you to, in a sense, draw a line in the sand and say, well, I don't need to live that way. So I'm going to pursue good, because why? Well, God will deliver to me. And he says, rejoice. I'm gonna give you an answer to this. And he says, hold fast to what is good. Well, what does that mean? Hold fast to me. Let me lead you through it. I'll give you peace. I'll give you resolution. You can be thankful that even in this thing that doesn't look very good, and this is interesting, and I have had lots of interesting discussions about this, because they say, well, be thankful in all things. Well, people say, how can I be thankful for this awful thing that's happening to me or somebody else?
Right.
I'm supposed to be thankful for that? That doesn't make sense to me. I say, no, you're missing what he's saying. He's saying, be thankful in this.
Not for it.
Not for it, but be thankful in it. And think about why. Why would we be thankful? Because he's going to bring a resolution.
Right.
And we can be thankful ahead of time. And this is where faith comes in, and this is where trust comes in, is God says, see, I already see it done. I already see this resolved. Be thankful that you can walk with me into that, and it will be absolute. See, it's not maybe, kind of, I'm unlucky.
Right.
Some people are lucky, I'm not. Nope. You can be thankful. I'm going to resolve this because you can hold fast to what's good, and I'm going to deliver to you the covenant and the superabundant
Right.
life.
And even that thankful is that we have him. You know,
Yeah.
it's trusting that he can and will resolve it, but it is thankful that yes, we're in this circumstance, but we walk in it with God.
Right.
That is completely different than other people walk into circumstances a lot of times. And just that, I think back again to Isaiah 118, come, let us reason together. We have an invitation to reason together with the God of the universe.
Absolutely.
And walk with him in the midst of this.
Yep. Okay, go to 2 Timothy 1, 13 to 14. 2 Timothy 1, 13 to 14.
Follow the pattern of sound words that you have heard from me in the faith and love that are in Christ Jesus. By the Holy Spirit who dwells within us, guard the good deposit entrusted to you.
Yeah. So he says that, again, walk in the Holy Spirit, stay with him. He's going to deliver it to you. And you can trust it that because of his heart for us, we can hold on to, stay with the truth that he's speaking to us. And that's what Paul was speaking to Timothy is, don't get lazy here. Don't drift away. Hold on, stay with what you're already learning to be true, and it builds on itself. And that's why we encourage people that, you're in the middle of anxiety, fear, and worry, and it's a struggle. Begin to hold on and get people around you that can assist you in, no, God will deliver you. God will do it. And this is the thing that you and I serve for others is when they're struggling, we understand. God says, I understand, but we can stand there and say, we know God will resolve this. So hold on to it and stay with it. Don't walk away from it, which is what Paul was saying to Timothy. Let's go over to Hebrews 4. Start with, there's a series here of statements in Hebrews 4, 14 to 16.
Since then, we have a great high priest who has passed through the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God. Let us hold fast our confession, for we do not have a high priest who's unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but one who in every respect has been tempted as we are, yet without sin. Let us then with confidence draw near to the throne of grace, that we may receive mercy and find grace and help in find grace to help in time of need.
Amen. The whole book of Hebrews is, kind of talking about the symbolism and the Old Testament admonitions of high priest and the temple and the Holy of Holies, draw near. And he makes this a wonderful statement was, guess what? Christ is the high priest. So he's ministering. The goal is to minister on our behalf, to lead us to God's will, which is going to be best and none better. I'm going to give you the superabundant life. He said, so knowing that we have the high priest, who's Christ, again, think about the simplicity of that. Where is Christ?
Within us.
He's within us. Christ in you, the hope of glory. So the high priest is there, and he says, hold fast to the confession. Okay, now this is really cool. What's our confession?
I don't know. Is that assuming our knowledge of Jesus?
It's our understanding that my confession is I surrender my will because I need you. So I confess that I need you. I confess that I now surrender my will, and I'm going to follow your will, which was Christ's ultimate confession in the garden. Is not my will, not my will be done, but yours. He said, hold fast to it, because why? Well, that's what the high priest did. His confession was, not my will be done, but yours, and he went through that process of surrender. He says, so hold fast to your surrender. Now this is really cool. In the garden, how certain was Christ's confession when he exited the garden?
when he exited for real, it was absolutely.
It was absolute.
Yes.
And so that's why it says, hold fast to getting to that place of I truly surrender in my heart my will to your will. And he said, hold fast to that, which means by definition, guess what? You have to go through Gethsemane. And Christ, as you were going to just kind of refer to, did he have it absolutely settled the first time he went in?
No. He went back in.
He went back,
prayed again,
because he said,
surrender.
He said, yes, Father, your will be done, not mine, but it's not settled in my soul. I have to go get it settled. So he went back a second time, same thing. Third time, same thing. Finally, he comes out and says, no, not my will be done, but yours. It's settled. And Christ held fast to that. Yeah. Why? Well, because there's never any more discussion of a struggle going through even the death and the pain of all that, to ultimately die and then be resurrected. Well, he held on to his confession, is not my will be done but yours, with absolute wonder, because he knew now, and the Father kept referring to him as, no, son, you're going to be resurrected. Right. You will be resurrected. And
it was with confidence and purpose.
Right.
Because he had fully surrendered it to God.
Right. And he says then, and this is interesting. He says he sympathizes with our weaknesses. Well, that's good.
Right.
So he doesn't say, well, shape up. You better do better. It's no, I sympathize with you. Is that because of that? And the high priest is sympathizing with us, driving us to confession, which he wants you to hold on to. He says, come boldly to the throne of grace and find the mercy and grace, the favor in your time of need. Okay, now this is interesting. When is your time of need?
It's all the time.
but when specifically is it? He says your time of need is at that moment of, are you truly surrendered or not? That's your time of need. Because if you hold on, okay, I'm going with you. What do you now believe?
That he's with you and he's going to resolve it.
He's going to resolve it. And I'm there. I'm in there. My time of need is as I'm struggling with that, which he just said. He's not unsympathetic to your struggle.
Right.
Yeah, I know. That's the whole point. He says, I know. That's why you're in fear, worry, and anxiety, because you haven't gone through to holding on. And why? Because you haven't surrendered your will, which I sympathize with. I can understand. Why? Well, because this stuff's coming against me and I haven't seen any resolution. And by the way, most believers say, I've never seen much of a resolution. God says, yeah, I know you haven't learned to hold on to me. So I did it. I sympathize with you. And that's why the beauty of Christ is, hey, I know. Right. This isn't, oh yeah, sure. It took him many, many hours to walk through his confession of settling it. And he said, I understand this. Stay with me, stay with me, stay with me. Hold on. I'll get you to that point, and I'll provide the power of like happened to me, that you can surrender your will, to the Father's will, and trust me. Okay, jump over to, and this is cool, because it kind of continues in the thought of it. So go to Hebrews 10:22-23.
Let us draw near with a true heart and full assurance of faith, with our hearts sprinkled clean from an evil conscience and our bodies washed with pure water. Let us hold fast the confession of our hope without wavering, for he who promised is faithful.
Okay. He says, now in order to get to the point of holding on, he says, draw near. And he describes it as your privilege to draw near is based on what? What's our privilege based on?
Based on him,
On
based
him.
on faith.
Yeah, he said, I've given you the ability to come speak to me with and the word there is authentic heart. Come to me with an authentic heart, and let's process your struggle. I know, I know that you're having a hard time believing that I'm going to resolve this. I know that. But all I can do is invite you. Draw near, come into the throne room. I've given you access. There's no limitation to that. I've cleared the way. He doesn't say if you fix it, if you do anything, including surrender, interesting enough, is just come and let's process through the very struggle you've got. And let me give you the confidence. And that's why he said, hold on to what? The hope. What's the hope? Interesting enough, English definition is different than the biblical definition. The English, when we say I hope, what do we say?
I wish for.
Yeah, I wish for it. I wish, I wish it'll happen, but I'm not sure it will. And maybe not. And by the way, Christians get to a point where they say probably not.
Right.
I wish this was resolved, but I probably not. And it's going to maybe get worse. But he says, if you hold on to the hope, the word there in the Hebrew or in the Greek is, it's going to be certain that I'm going to deliver to you. You can have that confidence that I'm going to deliver, and I just need you to come with me in the throne room and process it out. There's a situation right now where there's some people I'm dealing with that are struggling with forgiveness. And it's like, give me forgiveness, but I have oughts. I still have oughts. It's what I call the yeah buts. Yeah, but how do I know they're going to be justice is going to be served? How come and how's that going to work? And I'm trying to help them say, well, no, just hang on. Stay in there with God. Hold on to it. He'll work you through that struggle to a point of, let me assure you that I'm going to certainly resolve this. And when you start to understand that, then you have ability to hold on stronger. So he says, come to the throne room. Let's process it through. I'm okay with that. You can share with me what your struggle is, but I have to get you, and this is important. God says, I have to get you to surrender. I can't deliver it any other way because it only happens in the kingdom, and the kingdom is where I'm the king.
Right.
And you're walking with me, willing to walk with me. And he said the way to do it was, well, hang on, and trust me and let me persuade you that I'm going to deliver it. And my perspective, as I say to people, is I know it's a struggle, but why don't you surrender and see that he will deliver it? I'm going to guarantee you that he will. You can trust that he will. I know that you don't think that, but why don't we go give it a try? And why don't we just walk with him and let him deliver you and give it a try? Okay, now he says something even more in Hebrews 10:35-38. He's continuing this thought. What does he say?
Therefore, do not throw away your confidence, which has a great reward, for you have need of endurance, so that when you have done the will of God, you may receive what is promised. For yet a little while, and the coming one will come and will not delay. But my righteous one shall live by faith, and if he shrinks back, my soul has no pleasure in him.
Yeah. So he says, now if I was you, I wouldn't throw away this opportunity. He says, I'm going to pay you. The reward is literally, I'm going to pay you to come. Hold on. Stay with me. And after you follow my instruction, the promise will be fulfilled. My promise of fulfillment, I'm going to deliver the covenant. I will give you the superabundant life. After what? You experience my will, which is my instruction for you. After you've done your part, you're going to see it. What's your part? Hold on. Stay with me. Follow my instruction. And don't throw away. He said, don't throw away this fantastic opportunity. Why would you do that when you can come and experience it?
Right. So let's go very practical for just a minute, if you don't mind.
Yep.
We're hearing all of this. Clearly, he desires us to hold fast.
Yep.
And I know for me personally, there are times when that hold fast instruction honestly looks different each time. And so, from a practical standpoint, what are some of the things, if you could share, and I can share some of mine, some of the ways when God is meeting you in a place and he's saying, "Hey, Rich, you need to surrender this, hold fast to me." What are some of the heart corrections that he does, or what are some of the ways he speaks that to you so that people can see an example of what that would look like? And then I can share one even from just this morning that he did with me. So,
Yeah. Well, you're in the middle of a process where he's saying, um, hold fast to my instruction,
mhm,
and trust me for that next step, what I call the next step.
mhm,
Uh, he said, I'm going to deliver covenant to you, but I'm trying to give you this specific instruction. So I think we shared this a little bit that Linda and I had written these 18 things.
right.
They were all causing stress and anxiety.
Mhm,
Uh, and so he said, well, focus
mhm,
and bring each one of them to me. So we did. We started going through each one. And the first line was a few of them were, this is the enemy who has given you a roadblock.
mhm,
And Rich, you're a little bit lazy here, where you're just kind of letting it go. And well, I hope it works out.
mhm,
Well, yeah, we have spiritual authority, so of course, God, you'll take care of it. He said, no, you have to stand against this.
mhm.
So we took these 18, and out of those 18, there were several that you can speak against this. Don't get
That's a
lazy.
very specific instruction that he gave you in that.
Speak
Yes.
against this. This is the roadblock of the enemy, and when you speak against it, the truth is that he has to flee. So humble yourself,
Mhm,
surrender to me, and he has to flee, and the roadblock will be released.
mhm,
Okay, we're going to pray that, and we did, and we prayed it, and there were releases that what came within hours, where things that were stuck and nothing, no progress was being made.
mhm.
All of a sudden, it got released because we followed that instruction, and it was, hey, stop being so lazy. On another couple, they're still in process.
Mhm.
They're not resolved, but they're steps that God is saying, I want you to understand that I'm in the process of resolving this, but I need you to take this step. And so we
Mhm.
have a few business things that have yet to be resolved in our new company. So our partner and Michelle, my daughter, and I, we get together and, okay, Father, what step do we want to take? And he's saying, well, this is the step that I'm asking you to take by pursuing my answer to the person or the vendor or the lawyer or the situation
Mhm.
of do it this way. So we've got one situation where our company that we're trying to acquire, they're in a relationship that has to get fixed in order for us to acquire them. And the
Mhm.
resolution is, well, um, they have to sign an agreement and get it funded and get it done. Okay,
Right.
well, how do we do that? And so there's roadblock, and he said, well, go pursue it further and get the truth. The instruction
Mhm.
was go pursue it further and get the truth. Okay, so I called the guy up, and I said, hey, I know we got this thing. What is this other guy said? Have you resolved it? He said, actually, the problem isn't the guy; it's the bank. There's a
Mm.
bank involved here, and they have to sign off on it. And I
Oh,
said,
interesting.
oh, well, has anybody called the bank?
Mhm.
Well, no, because this guy's trying to, and he said they won't return his phone calls. I said, well, I believe that we're supposed to. So let's get the bank on the phone and ask them and tell them what the situation is, and let's go get it resolved. Okay, all right. And so he's called the bank, and the bank finally responded. Okay, I didn't know that. So the bank manager, let me process this and get there. So
Mhm.
it isn't resolved yet, but it was just, Rich, make the phone call.
Right.
Get the truth. Oh,
Yeah.
it's the bank. Okay. Let's go that way. Father, resolve it with the bank. And let's get to the right person who can get the answer. And it's getting resolved.
Yeah. And this is you staying in conversation with him
Yes.
until resolution comes.
That's right. And I'm
in
holding,
case there's new instruction.
and I'm holding on to, and what Linda and I refer to as the, okay, now what? We'll get some truth here. There's something you don't know is the reason this isn't getting done, and you got to go find out. Okay, let's go find out. And it's just, it was a little bit of a surprise. Like, well, what have you found out? Well, I found out it's actually the bank that's, so it's not the sky, it's the bank. Yeah. So we've been praying about, well, release it from the sky. And God says, well, there's more truth that you got to know. Guess what? It's about the bank. Okay, well, then let's go. Anybody calling the bank? No. Well, let's call the bank. Let's take it step by step. And that's holding on to Christ during the process. He's going to bring resolution, but a lot of times it's around, well, you got to know something. There's another factor here that you're not understanding. It's actually a bank issue, not the sky.
Right.
Well, let's go deal with that. Okay, then let's go deal with that and lead us to the right person that can get the answers. And if we got to get legal stuff, we will. And so that's where it is, in process with this. And you said that's
a great illustration, of just the practical, staying with him and asking and allowing him to lead, and that surrender too.
Right.
I had just this morning a little heart correction. So sometimes it can be more of there's something you don't know and stay with me and hold fast and keep asking. And then other times there's a little heart correction in there. And so I just thought I'd share that example. This morning I found myself, for whatever reason, there's several things, going on. Your sticky wickets, as you say, several things going on. And my feet hit the floor this morning and my mind automatically started spinning on all of those different things. And just as quickly, almost, I sit down in my prayer closet and God's like, you already, I'm bringing resolution to this. This is something, where your heart needs correction is you need to be reminded as to who I am. And so he actually had me sit in my prayer closet this morning and simply journal out. I want you to write out who I am. Who do you know me to be? Because you need to remind yourself. And that's what holding fast is going to look like today.
Yeah.
No further instruction. I've given you everything you need to know for today. You need to remember who I am so that you can go through and not spin in the anxiety of it or try to take it back. And it was such a beautiful heart reset. And I think, holding fast, again, God knows our hearts better than we do. And so if I had self-diagnosed on that, it could have been, I need more information. I need this. And he said, no, you just need to remember who I am.
Yeah.
and once you get your eyes fixed, then all is well for today. I'll let you know when you need to know something else.
That's it.
And so that it's a beautiful thing, just that surrender and allowing him to be the one to tell us what we need to be able to even make the next step of surrender.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, if we continue that thought, go to Hebrews 12, 1 and 2, because it describes it for us in terms of this is the process, what you're describing. Hebrews 12, 1 and 2.
Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is seated at the right hand of the throne of God.
Yeah, yeah. So it continues with what you're saying is, well, look to Jesus. The way to run the race that's set before you, and you got issues before you, and he said, I know that, it's personal. But look to Jesus, who's the author and finisher of our faith. Don't shrink back. Which is what we just read, is don't shrink back, but hold on by faith, by believing what he says. What do you have to say about this? And he's saying to you this morning is, well, the key is if you're going to find out what I have to say, you got to look to me.
Right.
Don't you figure it out, but rather look to me. I'll author faith. I'll speak to faith. I'll give you a word, and then let me finish it as Jesus did with when we talked about holding fast to the confession. And that is that we listen to what he says, and then he held fast to it because the Father spoke to him and said, "No, son, you can trust me. Yes, this is going to happen, but you are going to be resurrected." And he said, who wound up sitting down at the right hand of the Father because he endured the instruction of, no, hold on to me. I'm going to have you trust and believe that you will be resurrected and you will have life again with me. Trust me. And Christ said, "Well, let me give you the finality of that, the truth of that, the holding on of that. You can endure it by holding on to what I said," which is what he just said to you. Is don't even try to figure this out. Just hold on to me. I will speak to you and give you the faith, the word of what I have to have you believe. And as he continues with that, he makes this incredible statement, and actually made this in Proverbs chapter 3, verses 13 to 18. Go ahead and read that. He said, "This is really what it looks like." Proverbs 3, 13 to 18.
Blessed is the one who finds wisdom and the one who gets understanding. For the gain from her is better than the gain from silver, and her profit better than gold. She is more precious than jewels, and nothing you desire can compare with her. Long life is in her right hand, and her left hand are riches and honor. Her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. She is a tree of life to those who lay hold of her.
Yeah.
Those who hold her fast are called blessed.
Yeah. So he said, through walking with me, focus on me, look to me, I'll give you the wisdom. And you can believe something that all, and that word literally means, remember, all of my paths that I'm going to give to you with my resolutions are pleasant, are fantastic, and full of shalom, favor. And I'm going to give you the shalom to walk into them. All of my paths are there. Hold on to that. Hold on to what? Hold on to me. Hold on to me, who is wisdom. Hold on to me. I will give you resolution. You can count on it. You can trust it. I'm going to speak to it. And like you said, I'm going to give you instruction, including, which can be an instruction, is just trust me right now.
Right.
I'll get you there. Don't worry. And that's what holding on looks like. So why? Trust is faith. What is faith? God speaking, and you trusting that I can believe it, even though I haven't seen it happen yet.
It's he is who he is, says he is, and will do what he says he will do.
Right. And by the way, all of the paths, which I'm going to give you wisdom for, understanding, direction, instruction. I am wisdom. I'm going to give it to you. Hold on to that. And all of my paths are pleasant and favor, and great favor, shalom. Believe it, trust it. So that the holding on to is about, do I have a heart, to hold on to him who is going to deliver to me the resolution and build my trust and my faith, which is what he's asking me to do, is trust me for the outcome, because I'm going to resolve it. And he says starts with holding on. And as we get into this a little bit further, as we hold on, it'll be, well, you can go to him to speak to this particular issue, which he basically just said, that's what I'm going to do. And you can trust me. And that's kind of what he said to you this morning. And as he's saying to me, hey,
it was just beautiful.
Yeah, don't get lazy. To me, don't get lazy. Don't just go into a generic, well, I hope you resolve them all. It's trust me specifically, and you got to focus and let me speak to this, which in some cases for us, it was, well, you can stand against this. In other cases, I have to give you instruction to lead you down the path of the pleasant path that I'm going to give you. So, it's such a beautiful thing. So we'll continue this discussion, tomorrow as we go into, okay, what does that mean as we now seek you, and it's really going to lead us to some cool stuff of what does the seeking look like as we're saying, okay, I'm willing to hold on, but I do need answers. And he says, well, Yeah, come and seek him. And I'll show you how to do that, including, and we're going to get to this really cool thing that he says, you got to get people around you to encourage you to stay with me, basically. So it's going to be really cool. So
Oh, that's good.
if you got questions, certainly send them in, put them on the YouTube comment section, or send them at questions@afjministry.com. And we'd love to help you get specific about this as you're getting into this study with us. What does that look like? Or you have specific questions, we'd like to help answer them. So send us the questions, and Kathy, we will continue to process this further this week as we go deeper now into the process of how do we build trust? How do we hold on?
Excellent. Looking forward to it. Thanks again. It has been a blessing. Thanks for joining us today. And if you found today encouraging, be a friend and tell a friend.
Yep.
Be sure to pass the podcast on. I know this is a very timely topic for everyone.
Very much. So we look
Thank you
forward
for
to it.
joining
so
us
much.
for
Have a
today's
great day,
episode
Rich.
of Come
All
and
right, we'll
See,
see you soon.
your podcast for truth in a world of chaos. Brought to you by All for Jesus Living Waters Ministry. Send us your questions and comments, and tune in tomorrow for more answers to your personal questions about living life in God's truth. Remember, God's will is best and none better. His truth brings peace in this world of chaos.